The clock struck 3:17 a.m. as Zelara Moonwhisper wrapped her 15th lavender candle, tears streaming down her face. 3 months had passed since that humiliating December morning at Pinnacle Corporation's holiday gift exchange, but the laughter still echoed in her mind. While colleagues had arrived with designer bags and expensive electronics, she'd brought handmade candles, each one crafted with hours of love and carefully selected essential oils. "How quaint!" her boss Damien Blackwood had sneered, holding up her lavender creation like a child's art project. "Did you make this at summer camp?" The conference room erupted in cruel laughter as her heartfelt gifts became office entertainment. Marcus from accounting had snorted, "I was hoping for something useful, not a Pinterest fail." Even HR's Jennifer whispered loudly, "Some people don't understand professional gift exchanges." But sitting in her cramped studio apartment at 3 a.m., surrounded by candle-making supplies, something had shifted. The mockery that once made her want to disappear had transformed into burning determination. She picked up another candle, inhaled its soothing scent, and whispered a promise that would change everything. "They'll see." The clock struck 3:17 a.m. as Zelara Moonwhisper wrapped her 15th lavender candle, tears streaming down her face. 3 months had passed since that humiliating December morning at Pinnacle Corporation's holiday gift exchange, but the laughter still echoed in her mind. While colleagues had arrived with designer bags and expensive electronics, she'd brought handmade candles, each one crafted with hours of love and carefully selected essential oils. Zelara had always been different. Her free-spirited grandmother Aurelia had given her a name that belonged more in an artisan's workshop than a corporate boardroom. Yet here she was, at 28, squeezed into ill-fitting blazers as a junior marketing executive at Pinnacle Corporation. Her studio apartment in the Arts District lived a double life. By day, it appeared normal. Murphy bed folded away, small dining table serving as a desk. But when sunset freed her from corporate constraints, magic happened. The dining table transformed into her workspace, covered with soy wax jars, essential oils, and various wicks. Her kitchen counter held the double boiler and thermometer inherited from Aurelia, along with something more precious: a passion for creating beauty by hand. Candle-making had begun 5 years earlier, during her darkest period. When Aurelia passed from cancer, leaving Zelara orphaned and alone, she'd found solace in melting wax and creating fragrance combinations. What started as grief therapy evolved into something deeper. Each candle carried a piece of her soul, infused with love her grandmother had taught her to share. But the corporate world remained uninterested in that kind of love. Her Pinnacle paycheck barely covered rent and student loans, leaving no room for store-bought luxury gifts. So when holiday exchanges arrived, Zelara poured her heart into handmade presents, believing in personal touch over price tags. Only her friend Kira, who worked at the coffee shop below, understood her passion. "You're an artist, Z," she'd say, watching Zelara work past midnight. "These corporate zombies lack vision to see what you're creating." Zelara had always been different. Her free-spirited grandmother Aurelia had given her a name that belonged more in an artisan's workshop than a corporate boardroom. Yet here she was, at 28, squeezed into ill-fitting blazers as a junior marketing executive at Pinnacle Corporation. Pinnacle Corporation's conference room gleamed with holiday decorations. Silver tinsel, twinkling lights, and a massive Christmas tree that cost more than Zelara's monthly rent. The mahogany table groaned under expensive gift bags, each more ostentatious than the last. Zelara clutched her modest paper bag containing 5 personalized candles, energizing citrus for perpetually tired Sarah, calming chamomile for stressed Marcus, warm vanilla for cookie-loving Jennifer, and 2 others crafted specifically for their recipients' personalities. "Let's see what treasures we've brought," Damien announced with authority. The exchange began with fanfare. Marcus presented expensive wine, Jennifer unveiled luxury spa sets, and Damien dramatically revealed a high-end Bluetooth speaker that commanded immediate attention. Then came Zelara's turn. Standing slowly, heart pounding, she reached for her simple bag. "I made these myself," she whispered. "Each one is personalized." "Wait," Damien interrupted, eyebrows rising theatrically. "You made them? Like, actually made them?" She nodded, producing the first candle, beautiful lavender color in a mason jar, topped with dried lavender buds and hand-dyed ribbon. The scent was divine, representing hours of experimentation for perfect balance. Silence fell momentarily, and Zelara dared hope for appreciation. Instead, someone snorted. "How quaint," Damien said slowly, examining her candle like a laboratory specimen. "Did you make this at summer camp?" Laughter erupted, escalating from chuckles to full hilarity. Marcus shook his head at his personalized candle. "I was hoping for something useful, not a Pinterest fail. Some people don't understand professional gift exchanges." Jennifer whispered audibly, maintaining her practiced HR smile. "Maybe next year we should set minimum price requirements," Sarah added. "You know, for consistency." Each word landed like physical blows. Zelara watched colleagues pass around her candles with bemused interest typically reserved for children's finger paintings. Her carefully crafted citrus blend was dismissed with barely a glance. The chamomile candle, requiring 3 perfection attempts, was sniffed once and shrugged off. "When we do exchanges, we represent the company," Damien continued, enjoying his entertainment role. "What does it say about Pinnacle if employees bring homemade crafts to professional gatherings?" The words hit like ice water. Her heartfelt gifts weren't just rejected, they were deemed unprofessional, inappropriate, embarrassing. "I'm sorry," she managed, unsure what she was apologizing for. I wanted something personal." "Very sweet," Damien replied with patronizing tone, reserved for confused children. "But next year stick to gift cards. Leave arts and crafts for weekends." The following laughter was her breaking point. Zelara quietly gathered remaining candles, mumbled about returning to work, and fled. Behind her, cheerful voices resumed, as if her humiliation was merely minor intermission entertainment. She reached the bathroom before tears came, sobbing quietly in a locked stall. The candle sat in her lap, still beautiful, still fragrant, still carrying her poured love. But they felt different now, tainted by laughter, diminished by dismissal. In that bathroom stall, surrounded by lavender and vanilla scents, Zelara made a life-changing decision. Their laughter wouldn't end her story, it would begin it. Pinnacle Corporation's conference room gleamed with holiday decorations, silver tinsel, twinkling lights, and a massive Christmas tree that cost more than Zelara's monthly rent. The mahogany table groaned under expensive gift bags, each more ostentatious than the last. 3 days post-humiliation, Zelara stood in her grandmother's empty house, avoided for 5 painful years. Something had drawn her here. A need to connect with the woman who taught her that creating beauty by hand was strength, not weakness. Jasmine and sandalwood still perfumed the air, though dust motes danced in afternoon sunlight through lace curtains. She climbed narrow stairs to the attic, a space never fully explored as a child. Aurelia had called it her treasure room, but young Zelara hadn't understood what treasures could hide in such dusty, forgotten places. The cramped attic overflowed with boxes, but in the far corner sat something extraordinary. Beneath a white sheet was an old wooden desk. When she pulled away the cloth, she gasped. Vintage candle-making equipment covered the surface. Not modern tools she used, but well-worn, well-loved antique supplies. Brass molds, antique scales, and glass containers filled with crystallized wax sat exactly as Aurelia had left them. But leather-bound journals made Zelara's heart skip. Opening the first journal with trembling hands revealed her grandmother's familiar handwriting. But these weren't personal diary entries. They were business records. Detailed accounts of candle sales, customer orders, and something called Moonwhisper Candles, apparently quite successful in the 1960s and 70s. Moonwhisper Candles, she whispered, tracing the elegant logo Aurelia had drawn atop each page. You had a business. You were an entrepreneur. Page after page revealed hidden truth. Her grandmother wasn't just a crafting hobbyist. She'd been a successful businesswoman building a thriving candle company from scratch. The journals documented everything. First boutique sales, mail order expansion, signature scent creation that customers repeatedly requested. Between the third journal's pages, Zelara found a yellowed letter in Aurelia's handwriting. My dearest Zelara, if you're reading this, you've found your way back to our shared magic. I always knew you possessed the gift, the same beauty-creating passion running through our family. I built Moonwhisper Candles not just as business, but to share light in a dark world. The recipes are here, techniques learned through trial and error, but more importantly, the belief that love-created works have life-changing power. Don't let anyone call your gifts too small or simple. The world needs your light, darling. You need only believe in it yourself. Zelara collapsed to her knees, clutching the letter as tears flowed. All these years she'd thought she was just playing with hobbies, filling grandmother loss voids. But she'd been carrying on legacy, continuing tradition, temporarily interrupted, but never truly ended. Hours passed, devouring journals, learning untried techniques, discovering scent combinations that made Aurelia's candles legendary. Beyond technical knowledge, she absorbed confidence. Her grandmother had faced criticism too, dealt with vision-lacking people, but persevered and built beauty. As sunset cast long attic shadows, Zelara made a life trajectory decision. She would restart Moonwhisper Candles, not as hobby or side project, but as real business. She'd honor Aurelia's legacy while creating her own path. Mockery no longer stung. It had become fuel for something greater. They'd laughed at her handmade gifts, unaware of her building capabilities. Their dismissal was the push needed to discover her true inheritance, not just recipes and techniques, but courage to believe in her creation's value. Standing in that dusty attic, surrounded by the woman who shaped her tools and dreams, Zelara felt years-absent clarity about her purpose. She wasn't meant for corporate conference rooms, creating marketing campaigns for products she didn't believe in. She was meant to create light, share beauty, build meaning with her own hands. The humiliated girl from 3 days ago was gone. In her place stood a woman with plan, purpose, and legacy to fulfill. 3 days post-humiliation, Zelara stood in her grandmother's empty house, avoided for 5 painful years. Something had drawn her here, a need to connect with the woman who taught her that creating beauty by hand was strength, not weakness. Transitioning from corporate employee to entrepreneur felt like learning underwater breathing. Zelara maintained her pinnacle job while building Moonwhisper Candles in every spare moment, orchestrating a careful dance between 2 opposing worlds. Days began at 5 a.m. melting wax and preparing candles before corporate workdays started. She'd arrive at Pinnacle with wax under fingernails, covering evidence with carefully applied polish. Lunch breaks meant researching business licenses, calling suppliers, and navigating small business regulation mazes from her car. Evenings brought real work, while colleagues enjoyed happy hours and social events. Zelara returned to her studio apartment, working until midnight or later. She learned small batch pouring, tested scent combinations, and perfected techniques. Aurelia's journals became her Bible, but digital age business required skills non-existent in the 1960s and S. You look exhausted, Kira observed one evening, bringing coffee as Zelara worked on her 15th nightly candle. When did you last sleep more than 4 hours? Sleep is for people not building empires, Zelara replied, though fatigue made her hands shake while centering wicks in fresh wax. Initial months proved brutal. Her first online store was disastrous. She'd spent savings on professional-looking websites, generating 0 sales. Amateur product photos, overly technical descriptions, and no traffic driving knowledge resulted in exactly 12 sales after 3 months. all to sympathetic friends and family. But failure taught valuable lessons about business, marketing, and the gap between creating beauty and convincing people to buy it. She learned better photography, wrote storytelling descriptions instead of ingredient lists, studied competitors, and analyzed what made some candle companies successful while others failed. The breakthrough came on a rainy March Tuesday. Working on a new scent, complex bergamot, cedar, and vanilla blend named Midnight Reverie, she took a different marketing approach. Instead of focusing on technical aspects, she wrote stories about the candle, describing contentment feelings from quiet reflection moments. She posted the story on social media with photos of the candle glowing softly in her apartment, and magic happened. The post resonated, unlike previous marketing attempts. Comments poured from strangers connecting with emotion behind products, seeing experiences rather than mere objects in her candles. "This is exactly what I needed after today," one comment read. "Where can I buy this?" Orders began trickling, then flowing, then rushing. Zelara worked even later nights, now from excitement rather than desperation. Each order represented someone believing in her creations, someone seeing value in handmade products. Local boutique discovery happened accidentally. Walking past Urban Sanctuary, a trendy home goods store in the Arts District, she noticed their candle display. The products looked expensive but soulless, mass production masquerading as artisanal craftsmanship. Impulsively, she entered with 3 candles and requested owner meetings. "I'm not seeking new suppliers," owner Diana said initially, but lighting one of Zelara's candles changed her expression. "This is incredible. The scent throw is amazing and quality is obvious. How are you achieving such clean burns?" Within a week, Urban Sanctuary carried Moonwhisper Candles' selection, selling faster than Zelara could produce. Other boutiques reached out, drawn by word-of-mouth recommendations and growing brand buzz. Success brought new challenges. Her apartment couldn't accommodate increasing order volumes. Weekends meant driving to craft stores, buying bulk supplies, and streamlining production processes. Her hands stayed permanently wax-stained, her back ached from makeshift workstation bending, and full nights' sleep became memories. "You need help," Kira suggested, watching Zelara struggle with 50 candle orders. "You'll burn out before enjoying what you're building." "I can't afford help," Zelara replied, though she increasingly realized she couldn't afford not having it. The expansion decision came via email that changed everything. A lifestyle blogger with 100,000 followers discovered her candles and wanted to feature them in small business spotlight posts. The resulting traffic crashed her website and generated more orders than she could fulfill monthly. Sitting in her apartment at 2 a.m., surrounded by candle boxes and growing unfulfilled order piles, Zelara reached a crossroads. She could scale back, keeping candle making as profitable side business, or leap toward building something truly significant. Quitting Pinnacle Corporation terrified her. Despite experienced humiliation, the job provided stability, health insurance, and steady paychecks. But looking around her candle-filled apartment, breathing success and possibility sense, she knew playing safe was no longer optional. She was ready to bet everything on herself, on Aurelia's legacy, and on handmade products' power to touch lives. The girl laughed at for homemade gifts was about to become a woman building empires from those same humble beginnings. Transitioning from corporate employee to entrepreneur felt like learning underwater breathing. Zelara maintained her pinnacle job while building Moonwhisper Candles in every spare moment, orchestrating a careful dance between 2 opposing worlds. The viral breakthrough came from the most unexpected source. Zelara was having usual morning coffee at Kira's cafe when her phone began buzzing incessantly. Dozens of notifications flooded her social media accounts. Likes, comments, shares, and messages from complete strangers. "What's happening?" Kira asked, noticing Zelara's confusion. "I don't know," Zelara replied, opening Instagram. Her jaw dropped. Her follower count, steadily grown to respectable 2,000, was now over 15,000 and climbing by minutes. Zelara's hands shook reading the post. Celestine Rivers had 2.3 million followers, and the post already had thousands of likes and hundreds of comments asking where to buy the candles. A direct message from Celestine provided answers. "Hi, I bought your candles from Urban Sanctuary during a recent city visit. They're absolutely gorgeous, and I had to share them with my community. Hope the attention isn't too overwhelming." Overwhelming was understatement. Within hours, her website crashed under traffic loads. Orders poured faster than processing capabilities, and email inboxes flooded with wholesale inquiries from national retailers. Her phone rang constantly with interview requests from local news stations and lifestyle publications. "I can't handle this," Zelara told Kira, staring at laptop screens showing hundreds of unread emails. "I have maybe 50 candles in stock, and I've received over 300 orders today." "This is what you've worked toward," Kira reminded her. "This is your moment." But the moment felt more like crisis. Zelara spent the following week in controlled panic, managing sudden attention influxes while maintaining quality that made her candles special. She hired 2 part-time helpers, rented small production space, and worked 18-hour days fulfilling orders. Media attention proved both blessing and curse. Local television featured her on morning shows, demonstrating candle-making techniques and discussing passion-to-business building. The segment was picked up by other stations, and suddenly business journalists interviewed her about overnight success. "It wasn't overnight," she explained to City Business Magazine reporters. "This has been years in making. The viral moment was just spark lighting already building fires." But the biggest challenge wasn't media attention or overwhelming orders. It was the decisions she knew she must make. Moonwhisper Candles had grown beyond corporate job management capabilities. She needed to choose between Pinnacle Corporation security and uncertain but exhilarating full-time entrepreneurship worlds. The decision crystallized on Monday morning when she arrived at Pinnacle after working until 3 a.m. fulfilling candle orders. Exhausted, hands wax-stained despite cleaning efforts, she could barely keep eyes open during morning meetings. "Zelara, you seem distracted," Damien observed, voice carrying the same condescending tone from the holiday gift exchange. "I hope your little craft project isn't interfering with real work." Something inside her snapped. The woman once humiliated by his dismissal was gone, replaced by someone who'd built something meaningful from nothing. She looked at Damien with new eyes, seeing not powerful authority, but a man who'd never created anything beautiful with his own hands. "Actually," she said, voice steady and strong, "I need to give my 2 weeks' notice." Conference room silence fell. Damien's eyebrows shot up, surprised. "Your notice? Where are you going? Better offer from another firm?" "I'm focusing on my business full-time," Zelara replied. "Moonwhisper Candles has grown beyond side project management." "Your candle business?" Marcus laughed. "You mean those little crafts from the holiday party?" "Those little crafts," Zelara smiled, "generated $50,000 0 cents revenue last month. This month, we're tracking toward $100,000 0 cents. Surprised murmurs erupted. Damien's expression shifted from condescension to shock to something resembling respect. "You're making that much from candles?" Jennifer asked, voice filled with disbelief. "Turns out there's market for handmade products created with love and attention to detail," Zelara replied. "People hunger for authentic experiences, for products telling stories." Walking out of Pinnacle Corporation for the last time, Zelara felt childhood-absent freedom. She was no longer trying to fit others' success definitions. She was creating her own path, honoring Aurelia's legacy while building something entirely her own. The viral moment had provided needed push, but real breakthrough was internal, finally believing in herself enough to bet everything on her vision. The girl laughed at for handmade gifts was about to become a woman building empires from those same humble beginnings. The viral breakthrough came from the most unexpected source. Zelara was having usual morning coffee at Kira's cafe when her phone began buzzing incessantly. Dozens of notifications flooded her social media accounts. Likes, comments, shares, and messages from complete strangers. 3 years after that humiliating holiday gift exchange, Zelara stood on the National Small Business Conference stage, looking out at 2,000 entrepreneurs, investors, and business leaders. The banner behind her read Moonwhisper Candles, from passion to profit, and presentation screen numbers seemed almost surreal. $10,200,000, 0 cents annual revenue, 50 employees, distribution in over 500 nationwide retail locations. She was here sharing her story, teaching lessons about building businesses from ground up. But as she prepared to speak, she noticed familiar faces in the audience. There, sitting in the third row, were former Pinnacle Corporation colleagues. Damien, Marcus, Jennifer, and Sarah, all staring with shock and regret expressions. The journey from mockery to millions, Zelara began, voice carrying easily across the auditorium, often starts with single courage moments. For me, that moment came when I decided to stop letting others' opinions define my work's value. She told her story with grace and authenticity, describing apartment late nights, grandmother's journal discoveries, and viral moments changing everything. But she also spoke about deeper lessons, about believing in yourself when no one else does, about persistence facing criticism, about magic happening when you align work with passion. I want to share something, she said, clicking to slides showing original handmade candles photos. 3 years ago, I brought these to my company's holiday gift exchange. My colleagues laughed at them. They called them Pinterest fails and suggested I stick to gift cards in the future. Audience murmurs ran through. In the third row, Damien shifted uncomfortably. The laughter was one of my life's most painful moments, Zelara continued. But it was also one of the most transformative, because it forced me to ask crucial questions. Was I going to let their dismissal define my worth, or use it as fuel to prove them wrong? She clicked to the next slide, showing current Moonwhisper Candles product lines. Elegant, sophisticated, sold in high-end retailers nationwide. Those same Pinterest fails are now in Nordstrom, Anthropologie, and Whole Foods. The amateur crafts they mocked have generated over $30 million, 0 cents in sales. But more importantly, they've touched millions of lives, bringing peace and beauty moments into people's homes. After the presentation, surrounded by attendees asking questions and requesting business cards, she noticed Damien approaching. He looked older than remembered, confidence replaced by something resembling humility. "Zelara," he said, extending his hand. "That was incredible presentation. I had no idea you'd built something so substantial." She shook his hand politely, but didn't immediately respond. Marcus and Jennifer joined them, wearing awkward smiles of people unsure how to address past behavior. "You know," Marcus said, voice carrying forced casualness, "I always thought your candles had potential. The quality was obvious from the beginning." Jennifer nodded enthusiastically. "Absolutely. I remember thinking how unique they were. So much more personal than typical gift exchange presents." Zelara studied their faces, seeing revisionist history being written real-time. These were the same people who'd mocked her gifts, made her feel small and insignificant. Now they were trying to rewrite narratives, positioning themselves as early vision believers. "That's interesting," Zelara said carefully, "because I distinctly remember you calling them punctual fails and suggesting minimum price requirements for future exchanges." Group silence fell. Damien cleared his throat. "Well, you know corporate environments. Sometimes people say things they don't really mean. The important thing is, we always recognized your talent." "Did you?" Zelara asked, voice remaining calm but carrying steel edges. "Because what I remember is feeling humiliated, dismissed, and small. I remember crying in bathrooms afterward, wondering if I was delusional for thinking I could create something meaningful." Sarah stepped forward. "Zelara, I think we all realize we could have been more supportive. We were just caught up in corporate mindsets, We didn't see bigger pictures. Bigger pictures, Zelara repeated slowly. You mean pictures where handmade products created with love and intention have value? Where someone's passion project might be foundations for something extraordinary? Uncomfortable silence stretched between them. Other conference attendees noticed tension, and Zelara realized she had choices. She could let anger show, publicly call them out for hypocrisy and cruelty, or she could take higher roads, using moments as teaching opportunities. I want to tell you something, she said, voice softening slightly. That night, after the gift exchange, I went home and cried. But then I made decisions. I decided your laughter wouldn't define me. It would refine me. I used your dismissal as fuel to build something beautiful. She paused, looking at each in turn. I'm not angry anymore. I'm actually grateful. Because your reaction taught me something valuable. People who don't understand your vision don't matter. What matters is staying true to your purpose even when, especially when, others can't see what you see. The next morning, Zelara delivered the closing keynote with different messages. Instead of focusing on business metrics and growth strategies, she spoke about something deeper. I want to leave you with challenges, she said, voice carrying across auditoriums. Look around at people in your lives, colleagues, friends, family members. Is there someone whose dream you've dismissed? Someone whose creative expression you've minimized? Someone whose handmade gift you've laughed at? She paused, letting questions sink in. Because that person might be sitting on next million-dollar ideas. They might be carrying solutions to problems you didn't know existed. They might be the ones who change everything. Audiences sat silent, hanging on every word. But more importantly, she continued, if you're the person whose dreams have been dismissed, whose work has been mocked, whose gifts have been laughed at, this is your moment. Your mockery can become your motivation. Your criticism can become your catalyst. Your rejection can become your rocket fuel. Her final announcement brought the real revelation. Today, I'm launching the Moonwhisper Foundation, a nonprofit organization supporting artisan entrepreneurs building businesses from their passions. We'll provide grants, mentorship, and resources to help people turn handmade dreams into sustainable businesses. Audience applause erupted, but Zelara wasn't finished. And I'm establishing the Aurelia Moonwhisper Scholarship, named after my grandmother, who taught me that creating beauty with your hands is one of humanity's highest expression forms. This scholarship will go to young entrepreneurs building handmade product businesses, especially those facing financial barriers to pursuing their dreams. As she spoke, Zelara caught sight of former colleagues. Their reactions no longer mattered in the same way. They'd become part of her story, but were no longer its authors. I want to end with messages for anyone who's felt their dreams were too small, too silly, or too simple, Zelara said, voice filled with conviction. Your handmade gifts matter. Your creative expressions have value. Your passion projects have world-changing potential. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Her final slide showed grandmother's attic workshop photos alongside current production facilities. From one woman's attic to million-dollar business, from mockery to millions, from handmade gifts to legacies outlasting us all. The only difference between dreams and reality is courage to begin and persistence to continue. 3-minute standing ovations followed, but for Zelara, real applause was internal. Quiet satisfaction of promises kept, legacies honored, and futures built on unwavering self-belief foundations. 3 years after that humiliating holiday gift exchange, Zelara stood on the National Small Business Conference stage, looking out at 2,000 entrepreneurs, investors, and business leaders. The banner behind her read, Moonwhisper Candles, from passion to profit, and presentation screen numbers seemed almost surreal. $10,200,000, 0 cents annual revenue, 50 employees, distribution in over 500 nationwide retail locations. Zelara's transformation from ridiculed office worker to successful entrepreneur isn't just inspiring, It's a roadmap for anyone who's felt their dreams were too small to matter. Her journey didn't happen overnight, but it happened because she chose to believe in herself when no one else would. Think about the Zelaras in your life. Maybe it's colleagues bringing homemade treats, friends selling weekend market crafts, or family members discussing business starts for years. How do you respond to their efforts? Your reaction could be the difference between someone's success and surrender. If you're the person whose dreams have been dismissed, whose creative work has been mocked, whose passionate efforts have been reduced to just hobbies, this story is for you. Your mockery can become motivation. Your criticism can become catalyst. Your rejection can become rocket fuel. The world needs what you're creating. Your unique perspective, handmade touch, personal vision. Don't let anyone convince you that your dreams are too small or silly to pursue. Every successful business started with someone believing in ideas others couldn't see. Hit that like button if you believe in handmade dreams and courage to pursue them. Subscribe for more stories of entrepreneurs who refuse to let criticism define their destinies. Comment below with your own dreams you're ready to pursue despite what others think. The aftermath of Zelara's conference speech rippled through the entrepreneurial community in ways she never anticipated. Within days, her inbox flooded with messages from artisans worldwide. A ceramics artist from rural Japan who'd been dismissed by her family, a woodworker from Montana whose corporate friends called his furniture rustic junk, and a jewelry maker from Brazil whose university classmates had laughed at her cheap trinkets. Each story echoed her own journey, reinforcing her belief that mockery was often the catalyst for extraordinary success. These weren't isolated incidents, but a global pattern of creative spirits being crushed by those who couldn't see beyond conventional definitions of value. The Moonwhisper Foundation's first grant recipients proved this theory. 37 artisans received funding, mentorship, and business guidance. Within 6 months, 15 had quit their corporate jobs to pursue their crafts full-time. 3 had already reached 6-figure revenues. One candle maker from Oregon, inspired directly by Zelara's story, had her products picked up by Target after her lavender eucalyptus blend went viral on TikTok. But the most profound impact came from unexpected places. Corporate executives began reaching out, asking Zelara to speak at their companies about fostering innovation and recognizing hidden talent. The same type of environments that had once dismissed her now wanted to learn from her experience. "We realize we might be sitting on gold mines," admitted Rebecca Chen, CEO of a Fortune 500 consulting firm. "How many Zelaras have we laughed out of conference rooms without realizing their potential?" The irony wasn't lost on Zelara. The business world that had once rejected her handmade gifts now sought her wisdom on identifying and nurturing unconventional brilliance. Her grandmother's legacy had evolved beyond candles. It had become a movement, proving that today's mockery could indeed become tomorrow's millions, inspiring countless others to transform their dismissed dreams into thriving empires.